class we have seen what is the basic application of your del operator, what will happen when the del operator is added with the divergence, and what will happen when the del operator is added with the curl, and what will be the grade of curl of any vector, and divergence of any vector, divergence of curl of any vector, and curl of divergence of any vector. So we have seen certain applications. Now in this class we will see the conversion from one type of coordinate system to other type. So take the example of cylindrical coordinate system. The ordinates of your cylindrical coordinate system is rho, phi, z. Now it has to be converted to a Cartesian system. The Cartesian system is x, y, z. We can take it is your x-axis, reverse of that will be minus x, and it is going to be your y-axis, and reverse of that is going to be your minus y. So now consider x is equal to rho into cos phi. We have a rho axis at this point, so horizontal component and vertical component. So when you make it as a horizontal component, x will be rho into cos phi, y is equal to rho into sin phi. We can identify the rho factor, root of x square plus y square. Phi can be written as tan inverse of y by x, and z can be written as z. So this is how you can convert the rho phi z axis as x, y, z. To identify my x, rho is the known factor, constant, phi is also unknown, so cos phi we can substitute and we can identify the value of x. Similarly, y can be identified with rho into sin phi, and rho can be identified as root of x square plus y square. Phi can be written as tan inverse of y by x, and z is nothing but your z. So this is how you can identify, we can convert your cylindrical coordinate system to Cartesian system, or Cartesian system to your cylindrical coordinate system. The dot product, so cylindrical to Cartesian system. So when you take a ax is equal to a rho cos phi minus a rho sin phi, ay is equal to a rho sin phi plus a phi cos phi, az is equal to az. So it is the dot product of the unit vector. It is your unit vector dot product from when you convert it from cylindrical coordinate system to Cartesian coordinate system. And Cartesian to cylindrical, if you want to convert, you can write a rho is equal to ax into cos phi plus ay into sin phi. From here, from a rho, if I wanted to write from here to here, I'll be using it with the same sign. If I want to write ax, a rho in terms of ax, y, z, that is Cartesian to cylindrical, means I can write it as a rho is equal to cos phi into ax plus sin phi into ay. Next is your a phi is equal to minus sin phi into ay plus a phi into cos, ay into cos z. Az is equal to az. So this is how you will be converting your Cartesian system to cylindrical unit vector conversion. Next is spherical to Cartesian. Spherical to Cartesian means x is equal to r sin theta into cos phi, y is equal to r sin theta into sin phi, z is equal to r cos theta. So when your ordinates r theta phi is known, you can convert that spherical to Cartesian. In case if you are known with x and x, y, z, then reverse. You have to identify r theta and phi. At that moment, r is equal to root of x square plus y square plus z square. Theta is equal to cos inverse of z divided by r. Phi is equal to tan inverse of y by x. This is how you will be converting your spherical to Cartesian or Cartesian to spherical. So the unit vector also can be done in the same way. Here ax is equal to ar sin theta cos phi plus cos theta cos phi into a theta. So likewise you can write the dot product, and here you can write the cross product for the rectangular, cylindrical and spherical system. This is how a system can be converted. This is how the different ordinates can be converted from one system to other system, either from your cylindrical coordinate system to Cartesian or Cartesian system coordinate to cylindrical. In the next class, so till here your part 1 module 1 is completed. From next class onwards we'll see with the basics of, by applying all these things we'll study Coulomb's law, Gauss's law and students, now we will see what is meant by Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law, it is defined by a scientist called Coulomb, and he defined the force equation. So what the Coulomb's law states means, when you have two charges, you consider charge Q1 and charge Q2. Charge Q1 is placed at x1, y1, z1. Q2 is placed at x2, y2, z2. So this analysis we are making it in a simple Cartesian coordinate system. The distance between the two charges d. So Coulomb's law, when you consider a magnet, so when you have a magnet at these two places, what will happen? Based on the poles, either there will be a force of attraction or force of repulsion. That is the concept of the magnet. Same thing here also, when you have two charges, either there will be a force of attraction or force of repulsion based on whether it is a like charge or unlike charge. Coulomb's law states that there will be a force exerted between these two tiny small objects which is separated at a distance d. So that particular force is directly proportional to the magnitude of the charge and inversely proportional to square of the distance. Why? Because as the distance increases, you take a magnet as an example. So as you increase the distance between the two magnets, then the force of attraction or the force of repulsion is going to get reduced. That is how, so only it is called as, so whatever when you are having two charges based on the magnitude proportional to the strength of the charge, there is going to be a force of attraction or force of repulsion. But as the distance between the two charge increases, then the force is going to get reduced. So if the distance is getting less, then the force of attraction or the force of repulsion is going to increase. So Coulomb's law states that the force exerted between two tiny small objects separated with a distance d is directly proportional to the magnitude of the charge on each object and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Now we can write, to remove this proportionality constant, we can write the factor called k. It is nothing but your proportionality constant, which is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon. Epsilon is nothing but permittivity, which is nothing but epsilon naught into epsilon r. Epsilon naught is absolute permittivity, epsilon r is relative permittivity. It depends upon the dielectric medium. Epsilon r depends upon the dielectric medium, whereas epsilon naught is constant, which is equal to 8.854 into 10 to the power of minus 12, and the unit for absolute permittivity is farad per meter, or we can write it as 1 divided by 36 pi into 10 to the power of minus 9 farad per meter. Epsilon r is your relative permittivity. It depends upon the type of dielectric medium what we are placing. Therefore, we can write the force equation F is equal to Q1 Q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon d square into AD vector. D is nothing but distance between the two objects. AD is nothing but unit vector in the direction of your AB vector. Now we need to identify what is my distance vector and what is my unit vector. The distance and the unit vector. The distance vector is identified. Before identifying your distance vector, first we need to identify which is your cause and which is your effect. Same thing it goes on with your unit vector. Before identifying your unit vector, first we need to identify which is our cause and which is our effect. So based on that, we need to solve one, we'll take one, obtain an expression for force acting on a point charge of q coulombs due to n number of point charges. Here n number of point charges means q1, q2, q3, q4, q5, likewise we'll have n number of point charges. Let P be the point. So this is the place where we need to identify your force. So due to this charge 1, there will be force exerting at this point. Due to charge 2, there will be a force exerting at point P. Due to charge 3, there will be a force exerting at point P. Likewise, due to n number of charges, there will be a force exerted at point P. It means that where exactly we are going to identify the force, that is going to be my effect, and rest all other charges is going to be my cause. So while writing it, we can write it as F is the representation for force, and afterwards whatever suffix we are writing, first we have to write the cause number and second one we have to write the effect number. So the force due to charge 1 means it is going to be your cause. So I can write it as F1P. Here F2P means 2 is your effect and point P is your cause, effect. C 2 is your cause. Same thing F3P means 3 is your cause and P is your effect. So likewise, first you have to identify the cause and effect.